Hello, my name is Atilio, and this is my story. So I'm a high school music teacher, and right now I'm 36 years old. I was born in South America, in Chile, and I came to Australia and been living here since around the age of 5. I've always been quite athletic. I've always liked sports, but in terms of lifting weights and that type of lifestyle, it was looking after my mental health, which got me into fitness. I was going through a very bad time, going through some family tragedies, and I found that going to the gym and trying to use that energy as a fuel to be constructive with myself was a good way to cope. I think this is going to be my 12th year. I've been really consistent with it. The extended breaks that I've had is if I've been like traveling overseas or in hospital. First of all, my program is quite unique. I've adapted my program for myself. I haven't found anything like it. I like to target muscle groups. I like to isolate them. I like to do compound things. I like to train core, and I like to do calisthenics. But a typical day will be the chosen muscle group. Have a very, very slight warm up. I don't stretch beforehand. I'll do the exercises, usually 2 per muscle group. And at the end, I like to do some stretching and some core work. I like to work on skills, so the calisthenic skills. I really enjoy doing core workouts. If I had to pick a typical kind of muscle group to train, I love training chest. Chest is always fun, arms is always fun. I do train legs 3 times a week though, but it hurts a lot and it's not as enjoyable as the upper body stuff, but very important. Crunch, I think this might be my 5th year. I like to manipulate exercises to try and push you, but it was just much safer and easier to do so at crunch. The crunch that I go to, it's fairly big. It has everything that you need to be able to push yourself to a new level. But seriously, my favorite thing, and everyone who is there probably agree, I'm very social and very friendly, and just the people there, from the staff workers to just the normal gym goers there, they make the workouts that little bit more enjoyable. But yeah, it's a very social environment where I'm at. My constant desire to improve, the need to continue to look after myself mentally and physically, and the fact that I enjoy it so much. I see it not as being motivated or being disciplined if you enjoy it, because you just want to keep going. You don't need discipline, you don't need motivation if it's something that you're always looking forward to doing. Find a way to make your workout or your physical activity enjoyable. And it might be that maybe you're not suited to the gym environment and you would rather play a sport because you want to participate with a team. Maybe you like that social aspect. When it comes to the gym though, work out with a gym partner, work out with some friends. That'll make it more enjoyable. Listen to the music, listen to podcasts, watch shows. Do what I did. I've lifted weights for a long time and I started to get a bit bored, so I thought, what else can I do? And I started doing skills with your body, so calisthenics like handstands and flips and all this type of bar work, and it just keeps things enjoyable. So find what makes it fun for you and incorporate it into the workout. Long-term goals is just longevity for me. I want to try and stay as fit and as healthy and as athletic as I can for as long as I can. There's no really end goal to that. In the short term, there's a few movements that I would like to achieve. One of them being the planche and the planche push-up, and the other one is a handstand push-up, but clapping and land. I've only been working on it for about 2.5 weeks, and I've had to have a break because the pressure on the wrists is a lot. I'm starting to feel it, so I've had to have a small break, but that's something that I would like to achieve in hopefully the not so distant future. Improving at the rate that I'm improving at the age that I am now You wouldn't think of people in their mid-30s achieving skills that they've never done in their teenage years or early 20s. That's one, and two is being able to overcome physical adversity pretty well. I've got a good social group around me. I've been very lucky that I've been able to make good friends and have good support structures that really care for me, and vice versa. I'm proud of where I am in terms of career. As a teacher, you get to influence the new generations and young people, and especially in something that I love to share as well, my hobby being music. It's something that I feel like I can be proud of. About 2 years ago, I started to get some really strange feelings, and it started with some numbness on my fingers. And as the days progressed, that numbness started to spread through my skin, and then started to crawl up my feet. And in around 5 days after I experienced the first numbness, I had no coordination. So I couldn't really stand on my own, I couldn't take steps, and I was falling over. So I had to be taken to the hospital. I had to be taken to the hospital twice because they couldn't diagnose me the first time. But the second time, they told me that I had a condition called GBS, which is Guillain-Barré syndrome. It's an overreaction from your brain to a prior infection or virus. So if I remember correctly, 2 weeks before I fell ill, I had like a gastro just from food poisoning. I think I had some like bad takeaway chicken. And I got over that really well, but 2 weeks later my brain thought that I was still sick, and it sent the immune system to try and find what was wrong. And that immune system, the antibodies and all that kind of stuff, had to do something. So what it started to do was kind of like destroy parts of my nerves, and to be specific, the myelin sheath of the nerves, which helps conduct signals. So basically what was happening to me was I was slowly becoming paralyzed from the extremities upwards, and I spent 5 weeks at Liverpool Hospital, basically semi-paralyzed, and then 2 weeks at Camden Hospital in rehab, intense rehab, and the remainder of 6 to 7 months relearning how to do everything. So I had to relearn how to walk, I had to relearn how to play guitar, I had to relearn how to sing, I had to relearn basically how to do all the things that I'd been pretty efficient at doing on my own. And that was really, really tough. But it was actually tougher mentally than it was physically. I spent one night in ICU when my oxygen levels were decreasing. Luckily, it was only that one night. So if the statistics are correct, 5% of people that experience that illness pass away because their diaphragm is paralyzed, and when that happens, you suffocate if you're not put on a ventilator soon enough. 15% of people will recover with a severe disability, and 80% will recover with little to no disabilities or residues. And I was lucky that I'm in that 80%, and I also was able to recover very quickly. The doctors gave me 1 to 2 years before I could run or do anything, and I was back in the gym in 7 months. I was on so many meds. My nerves were constantly being destroyed, so I was in constant pain. The worst part of all of that was actually the lack of sleep. You can't sleep in the hospital. Like, if you're not sleeping, you just can't recover. So 5 weeks at the hospital with no sleep was another deteriorating factor, I think. The number one challenge for me was waiting for my body to allow me to do something. For example, one of the final movements that I was able to do was to lift my leg lift my heel towards my glutes. I couldn't lift it that way because my hamstrings, my calves, and my glutes weren't working. They were the last things to come back. For me, it was as soon as I can move something, I'm going to train it and move it and just start. So it was kind of like the waiting until my body decided to heal before I could take it. As soon as I had movement in any limb or muscle or whatever, I could take it. It was fine. It felt like you were starting again, the gym all over again. But this time I had all the knowledge. I had everything. I knew what I had to do. So it wasn't as hard. And to put it into perspective, like, I think it took about 13 to 18 days, and this is going to sound very unnatural, but it took about 13 to 18 days to put on like 9 kilos back. It was absolutely crazy. It was crazy. I put on so much weight so quickly because of like the muscle memory, and I think I was back to normal between 4 to 8 weeks. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I also had a lot of other survivors tell me the same thing. They would reach out and tell me, look, you're relatively young and your lifestyle beforehand is really going to play a part. But it was mixed. Some people also had similar lifestyles but were never able to recover, and that was very scary. It was only when survivors reached out that had fully recovered that it did something for my mental health, because at the start I was surrounded by people with who unfortunately didn't recover very well, and it wasn't doing me any favors because I was kind of like anxious that I was going to end up like that. When I went into hospital, I was about 80 kilos. When I got out of hospital, because basically 3 weeks of no movement caused a lot of muscle loss. So 15 kilos in 3 weeks I lost just because I wasn't moving. To put it into perspective, before I started gym, I weighed at 62. So I was only like 3 kilos off from absolutely having lost everything. And that just shows you how quickly your body can adapt and how important it is for you to have had prior like good habits and lifestyles, so that your body is, you know what, I'm uncomfortable here, I want to go back. And I felt like that's what my body did. It was crazy, but I do feel like I owe that a lot to the lifestyle. I was fit before, so I knew what I was capable of doing, and it helped me fight and just maintain what little I could keep and rebuild it. I went through a lot of different mental emotions, and I did go through that a little bit. And I remember my family being there telling me, like, you know, you gotta not think like that, or else you're not going to do yourself any favors. Like, mentally you need to stay positive or be motivated, committed in order to, you know, start working and try to achieve something. One of the things that I did kind of spin in my head which helped was, I looked at my family, right? And they were all around me on the hospital bed. And I look around, and instead of thinking like, you know, why is this happening to me? Like, I look at my mom, I look at my sister, and I'm like, imagine if it happened to them. Out of everyone here around me, I have the best chance of recovering back to 100%. So that was the mentality that I started to change, so that I could mentally snap out of that depression that I had.
Yeah.
There are times where you feel like, oh no, I'll take this responsibility, like I'll take this burden, because, you know, my mum is older. How would she recover? I don't know if she could, you know. One of the beautiful things that I realized, look, a lot of people will tell me, like, what lessons did you learn from that experience? Unfortunately, I didn't learn anything new. It just kind of like reaffirmed prior beliefs. It did make me realize just how loved you are, because I had so many people around me, and the ex-students that would come, like, these students had graduated maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Some were still in school, some were in the school that I had just left. They would come and they would bring me food, they'd spend time, and that was kind of like, you know, like, oh, I'm realizing the impact that you've had and the support that you have around you. It's very hard to give general advice. I've actually had a lot of people contact me through like Instagram and social. I always ask, like, you know, where are you now? What can you do? What can't you do? What have the doctors said? It's very unique to everyone. But if I could think of anything general, the first 4 weeks of the illness, take it easy on yourself, because you have no control. First 4 weeks, your body will just deteriorate, and there's no way to reverse it. Just slow it down. You'll plateau for a couple of weeks after that. But as soon as you start to feel anything come back, my advice is, as soon as you can move and keep moving. I would have told myself to start this lifestyle earlier. I started at the age of 25, and now I go to the gym and I see kids that are like 16 to 18 years old, like, who are like almost my size or bigger, and it's just like, I wish I could have started and I had the resources to start earlier. because who knows where I could be now. Not that I regret anything, but you know, the potential, what could I be doing calisthenic wise, what knowledge could I have, what people could have met. So yeah, I would have told myself to start earlier. Doing that handstand push-up with the clapping, doing the planche, lifting some heavier weights, hopefully still looking and feeling fairly young. I just want to keep improving. Look after your body, you only have one. You only have one body. Take care of it. Keep up a good lifestyle because you never know what life is going to throw at you. And you've got to be in the best shape to try and face it.